Hey guys, welcome back to the RX8. You might be wondering why the hood is off. I think you know the answer as well as I do. It is time to rebuild this car. Oh, naive Aiden. You didn't see the thumbnail. You don't know how much pain you're gonna go through. So that means it got cracked, broken, or something happened, and I'm gonna have to fix it. The bolt, because they are rusted on there. That took like 2 days to get all those things off. Fuck those. It's a bad idea. Shut up. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. No, don't mind the fact that it's worse. Fuck! That didn't go well. Fuck! But before all that craziness ensues, we need to start somewhere. And we need to have a reason to even do this in the first place.
One of the most important things to do when buying a new RX8 is to do a compression test. This tells you the life of the engine, and it's time to do it for
I'll
the
just
yellow
skip
banana.
over all the boring stuff and get to the juicy details. The first cue that this project was going south was getting off the wheel. Well, that doesn't work. You get the air ratchet. This is gonna work. Right tool for the right job. You see that? Why'd I have to get an air impact out to get that wheel off? This isn't the only bolt that's like that for this project. But yada yada yada, if you know how to do a compression test on an RX8, then you know how to do it. If not, I'll link a video in the description. But you take off the fuel pump relay, you take out spark plugs, you put in your compression tester, and you start the car. Unfortunately for my case, it appeared that the car was barely running. And now we look at it and see it's at about 5 bars or about 80 psi, which means it's about time for a rebuild. I think you know the answer as well as I do. It is time to rebuild this car. I don't want to start it up because I'm worried about hurting the car now. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna start taking apart the car and get it ready for the new parts. Luckily, the start of the tearing apart process was fairly easy. Not really any inconveniences. Sorry, I thought a bit of sparks got in my lungs or something. The majority of getting the engine out went fairly smooth. Strut bar goes off.
Just like that.
The trick I saw to getting it out.
Airbox comes out.
These nubs right here go into there. If you push the air filter back, you can get them out, and you can just lift it up. 5 minutes in, and I'm already asking where the 10 mil is. Turns out it was right here. Why is it right there? And then take these two out. Air pump comes out.
These two bolts out. This clip unlatched and this clip unlatched.
That's attached. Airbox. Not airbox. The air pump comes clean out. And through the power of editing, let it rise. Elevation acquired.
Alright, next up under the car is removing that starter right there.
When all is said and done, you should have your nice, beautiful starter motor. Okay, when you unscrew this and unloosen this, it lowers the all-cylinder down. That acts as like because I mean that pulls it up when you unscrew it. So it acts like a tensioner, but without like an actual tensioner on. Enjoy this happiness of nerding out while it lasts, because it won't last long. Intake, manifold, officially off. One last thing to do, and that is little AC compressor down here. We do not want to remove him with the engine, so we're going to disconnect him from the engine. We release him from the engine. Safe to say we're going to be losing a lot of Freon into the atmosphere, and we don't really want to be doing that because Freon is not exactly good. Little did he know that I had to do that anyways, and it didn't even matter. Okay, we're about halfway through removing all of these vacuum tubes. We're stuck on that one. It was at this point that the project got a little complicated. Progress update on this. I managed to deform this stupid hose clamp enough to work it back. So now I can finally get this stupid hose off. Okay, something's happening. Something's happening. Woo! That is officially all of the hoses off. That took like 2 days to get all those things off. Fuck those things. Come join me coming under the car, where you can see what I'm working with. All right, so the bolt I'm trying to get off is up there. It's a transmission bolt. That's why this car is so far jacked up. You can get a better idea. There's a 1/2 inch. It goes all the way. There's my cat. And you can see right there, that is the bolt I am working with. Once I break it, it's really easy just to twist it off. Just like that. Now there are 2 other bolts like that I have to get off. I know you guys can see under there. This is the tool I was working with. It's a 1/2 inch with almost a 2-foot extension, another foot extension, a roundy thing on a rotational head for a 14. That is my hand in comparison to the length of this thing. Now it's these bolts, these 5 bolts that are the bane of my existence. Today it is rumored that these bolts still haunt my dreams, which is true, they do. So it's so welded on there. The bolt is straight up warping. It's welded on there. Fuck. Alright boys, round 2 for after the heat. Breaks just like that. Oh my god. Heating it up works miracles. Exhaust is officially off. And on top of that, I had the AC compressor was so welded on there that the nuts just completely stripped out and I couldn't take them off. So with a heavy heart, I disconnected the AC hoses from the compressor. That means after we do all this, we need to recharge the Freon. But in other news, the engine is ready to come out. Now it's time to go get the cherry picker and pick this thing out. The target for this project was 2 days, and it's been almost 3.5 goddamn days since I started this project, and I'm just getting the engine out. I'm back, and it's time to start lifting it up. So for the first time, lift it up. Okay, I'll see you guys once the engine is in a better place. But finally and eventually, the engine came out. Alright boys, it's been 2 days, 2.5 days, and a lot of work to get to the point of Renesis out. Look at this thing. This thing is tiny. And it is time to just strip it all down and peel it apart. Not peel it apart, but like de-block the Legos of the rotary. Let's get into that. Now you might think to yourself, Aiden, you're just taking apart an engine. How hard could it be to mess that up? And trust me, I found a way. But before we go on, I just want to give a thank you real fast at Aitken's Rotary. They're the shop I got my parts from. They're here local in Washington and supply rotary parts to everywhere. I got a tour of their shop and I got to ask them a few questions that helped me along in this rebuild process, so huge thank you to them. And that's because next up is one of the biggest challenges of taking apart this engine. One bolt, 153mm nut, torqued down to 325 foot-pounds of torque, and oh, I just got it off like that. That was actually one of the easier ones. But now is the bigger challenge of getting off the flywheel, which entitles banging it over and over again until it rattles itself loose. Alright, so after about an hour of banging on this thing, I finally decided to grab the big mallet, and now the flywheel is off. Let's take it off. Okay, so I got the flywheel off. It's over there sitting pretty, and I got the engine tipped up on its side. I know it's a bad idea. Shut up. I need to get the oil pan off. We are already... Oil. Fuck. If we can get this thing off, then it's gonna go great. And it'll come off in 3, 2, 1.
And up until this point, you'd kind of expect that finger snap to actually go somewhere and mean something. Something definitely came off. But it wasn't just the oil pan, it was the entire goddamn engine. It fell on the ground.
Tipped off onto the ground. Spilled coolants absolutely freaking everywhere. Spent the last half hour cleaning it up. Engine, surprisingly, undamaged. Thank God. But now
at this point, this was a pretty big low for me. I was feeling pretty defeated by the project. Things were already behind schedule. And there's a few critical components that just will not come off the engine for it to disassemble. At this point, I was feeling pretty alone. But that's when the reinforcements arrived.
Alright, oil pan gasket is finally off. A lot's happened. Engine's on the sand, and now we are working on getting this very last E-shaft bolt out before we just deconstruct the rotary.
But when I tell you that final bolt was hard to get off, I mean that final bolt was hard to get out. It's stripped out of socket, and when we try to take it off, it flips the table. See, we had to ratchet strap the thing down to the table to hold it in place. This issue stumped us, so we went to a very unexpected place for help. A Caterpillar maintenance shop. And I mean, just like, look at these tools. Look how massive they are.
Alright, yeah, we got the engine tied down with ratchet straps to the table. We got our bar right here. We got 2 of the clutch bolts in. We kind of held the flywheel in place over here. We got a 800 foot-pound air ratchet just to blast off the bolt.
So mission success. We can finally take apart the rotary and get to the halfway point.
That's part 1 done. We finally got the engine cracked open after 5 days of work. Had been over what is scheduled, but we got the rotary. I'm so happy right now. This is the first time I'm putting eyes on the rotary, and it is gorgeous. Now it's time to disassemble it and then just look at what we got. Time lapse. Alright. All in dramatic fashion, we have everything. So yeah, everything. Rotor 1, rotor 2, and best of all, we have both of the rotors right there and right there. Look how pretty they are. They're not pretty, they are dirty boys. Look at all that carbon built up on them. You need a wash. Let's go do that. Alright, we got the cleaned off rotors. And now it's time to put it all and sandwich it together.
Now came the first problem of the rebuild. I don't know how I didn't hear this or read this from anywhere, but when you're doing a rebuild and replacing new side seals, you need to cut them to the size of the rotor, which is what I'm doing in this time lapse right now.
Alright, so for the Atkins rotary side seal kit, we have to trim them to size. So as you saw in the time lapse, we got a grinder with a block that we measured to be the exact angle. And it was just a bunch of trial and error, a little bit off. Go over, check it again, and now we got them all trimmed to size. Now finally,
get to work. Oh, we kind of made a bit of progress. Now comes the tedious part of putting the engine back together, which wasn't as tedious as I originally thought it would be. I got help from a good friend of mine, and Rob Dom has an amazing tutorial on the whole engine rebuild. I'll link that in the description. Once you get a hang of how to put the apex seals in, the engine goes apart fairly fast. Of course, there's a couple times where we had to take the whole entire engine back apart again and put it together again because we made a silly mistake. But apart from that, it went fairly smoothly. And now to the big turnaround point of putting the engine back on the stand so we can put all the accessories on.
Alright,
So
after hours?
At least.
Hours and new people to help, it's finally in there after a lot of hardship. But we got rotor 1, rotor 2, about to put on the top.
What do you think about that sponge? Straight down this way. Straight over. I hold on to this.
Yeah. Good grip on it. There it is. Yeah, there we go. See? Only 200 pounds. This is the last you'll see of the oil pump before it gets covered up. Like this side. If you guys didn't know, we got it on a stand.
But
It's
then before we
all
can get
pumped
any
together
traction,
now.
our tire got punctured.
That's something to do it, but then again,
That's the issue.
While taking apart an engine,
success, we got it
a
out.
bolt head got stripped off, so the side of the bolt was left in there. So we took a drill to try to drill it out, and then the drill bit broke off in there. So now we have a bolt with a drill bit that we need to drill out of there. We tried welding on a nut, didn't work, and so we drilled for the good majority of 4 hours to get this one bolt out. So much time was wasted then.
You know the saying 2 steps forward, 1 step forward, 2 steps back? I can't even think straight because that's happened every time I try to do anything on this engine. When I tried putting this engine together, something here, the chain, see how it's got a gap there? It's not in line anymore. So when I spin the engine spins fine, chain spins like crap. So I had to take all of this back apart from that to get to that, to fix it. I gotta have this thing in the car running by tonight. It's the last day of winter break, and as you can see, the engine is still out of the car. Everything's on there, we just had so many setbacks putting it back together. But all that's left to do now is to torque down the flywheel bolt and the E-shaft bolt. And after that, it's ready to go into the car. It just sucks that the deadline was missed. But what are you gonna do about it? Here I am sitting in my engineless, hoodless car. There's some disappointment. I would say see you all next week to when I can actually put it in the car, but this video is already delayed enough. So what's like an extra week and a half before I can actually like start editing the video, right?
It's March right now. A bit more than 2 weeks.
Oh, my channel's gonna die before this video comes out, I swear. But for you, it'll only look like a couple seconds. For me, it's gonna be a couple days. So jump cut. And it is now currently Friday. Last time I filmed back was Tuesday. So yeah, it's been about 3 days. We're back here with the RX8. You guys already know. You guys are just here. That editing was smooth by Feature Me. Let's get back to working. I swear, everyone is calling me crazy, but we need to remove this pilot bearing, and the only way to do that is with bread. Well, that is the easiest way of doing that. Every time I say, hey, we're gonna need bread to work on this project, everybody thinks I'm crazy. You know, I'll link in the description to how it works if you're curious, but it's gonna work right now.
thermal.
But yeah, it. Engine's going back up. She's finally ready to go back in the car. I'm in the engine bay trying to clear stuff out, and who did this poor hose clamp? I did. I happened to it. Ah. Bit of a problem. Our engine hoist wheels are so shot that we need to take them off and replace them or fix them because the engine hoist physically will not move. So gross. Oh my god, what is that crud? You can just see the layer on there. What is that? Thanks for joining me in this little interruption. Wow, we try to hammer these things off. Now enjoy my shirt while we go to work. Woo! Maintenance done on the engine hoist is done. Now we can finally do the maintenance on the car.
Oh, you're going to the shop today, Frank. You already go back there back? No, about ready to go. Okay. Got the car.
They're all sideways. Yes.
Okay, it can rest there, then the engine will pivot down. But yeah. Okay, you good.
We're good. Almost there. Just need some meat with the transmission. That is the hard part, but we are looking. If we look on the bottom, we're looking fairly flat with transmission. Transmission just needs to. Alright, so the engine is mounted with the transmission and the first bolt is officially on. This is a horrible camera angle, but look at that beautiful engine in the car. Alright. It only took about like 30 minutes and 3 people, but you can see the engine is back in the car. We look under here. Motor mounts are connected. We're connecting the transmission as we speak. The engine. She's in. And look what Sam dropped in for us. A D-cap with some mufflers on it. That is going on next. And you're gonna see it under the car right now. Look at this glorious view of this beautiful exhaust that is officially connected to the car. One step closer. Alright, now all of the accessories are officially on. This is starting to look like a proper engine now. Alright, so not a lot in the engine bay has visibly changed, but I promise you everything up until this point is done. All the wires are done, vacuum except for that one, which goes on to all of that air filter intake stuff. But everything to get the engine started, spark, fuel, air, all of those 3 are right there, ready to go. It just needs the battery, coolant, and oil.
From this point on, the project started to go south. I ran out of video tutorials, and I didn't have a guidance reference.
Okay,
So there's that paper towel right there, which I believe is where the leak is coming from. You can see right now, because of the paper towel, there is no water leaking out. So my thought is to grab a big breaker bar, go into the engine bay, make the engine go crank, 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 have my hair be out of the freaking way, and then we'll see if it leaks, and then we'll take it out from where it's from. Engine goes burn. Alright, now that we cranked it a few times, we're seeing nothing still not leaking, anything leaking out of there yet. I do not think so, so let's take it out and see if any water has gone into it. So we can see it's from the top half of the engine. As you can see from right here, don't mind all the black. It had orientated like this, so it's from what looks like it'll be up here. Interesting. So to me, sitting inside of the engine bay looking at it, it's looking like where the main coolant pipe meets the engine block. Which is weird. Does that mean it got cracked, broken, or some shit happened, and I'm gonna have to fix it? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Today was a relatively easy day, so of course, something has to go wrong. Always has to be something. Alright, so that coolant leak is blocked out for now. We got all the oil we could ever need. We're not leaking, the only thing we're leaking is just a tiny amount of coolant. Now, battery in. Next thing you're gonna see is me in the car trying to start it up. Major progress update. The engine bay is looking all sorts of nice. Battery is in. Now it's time to grab our keys and pray to God that it starts. We're praying. That's not a prayer. Which, as you can imagine by the thumbnail, didn't happen. And it was from this point the project started just to crash down. I smell a lot of gas. I just don't think it's sparking. I think there might be some ground that's missing or something. Not a good first try though. I'm gonna see through any codes actually. Through some codes. That might help me deduce down what might be wrong with it not starting. Should have probably done this earlier, but doing it now. Sadly, for some reason, there were no codes thrown whatsoever, so that was no help to me. I see that. See spark 2. don't mind the fact that it looks like a murder scene. I've read and heard from a lot of people that ATF, putting it in the spark plugs to increase compression, may sometimes help the engine start. Hoping that works. This is with ATF. Nothing. It's not thumping. But then, I don't know how else to put this. The car caught fire. Fuck! That didn't go well. Fuck! Okay. Fire extinguisher system here works. Dousing it with water. The fucking fire extinguisher's out. Fuck. Oh, there's another one over here. Okay, this works. So, the car's on its wheels, pushed it back out to get to the extinguisher. Luckily, we have a fire suppression system, which we saw come online. What dumps all the water. For some reason, none of the freaking fire hydrants worked. What the fuck just happened? Alright. I think you want to see my face for this one thing, messy. I was experimenting, troubleshooting with it. Tried starting it up, put the key in, and it gave like a slight hint of when to go. And I said, oh, okay, I'm gonna stop and try to see what I did right. I looked out and a gallon of gas got spilled onto the floor. It popped, spark, and she lit up on fire. We're sure all like a goose, my head cut off looking for a fire extinguisher, trying to fire extinguisher. And found one fire hydrant which had like 20 seconds of fire pressure left, which is enough to get space the water could in. Beautiful leather interior, didn't get damaged. The hood got a crack in it from the heat. You can see this plastic dash right here just got melted away. Now it's just this metal. Bunch of stuff just got melted. Intake manifold got melted. Hose got everything, like alternator back. You can see the fire suppression stuff got sprayed all in the back there. How can I even do an oil change anymore in this thing? No, that thing is melted on there. I don't think the engine got damaged. Don't think. I am so thankful the fire didn't get to the gas. For any of you still around, here's the aftermath. We're just having a broom sweeping out all the water onto the driveway. Now, I know some of you are gonna think, oh, this is staged, this was so fake. And honestly, as a broke college student, if I had the money for that, I absolutely would. But being a broke college student and
pouring all my money into this car just to have it go up in flames. It is more heart-wrenching than I could put into words. I'm so glad that the car only sustained damage. All of that is just, it's not permanent to the paint. Paint didn't bubble. All of the damage is just sustained behind the alternator. I mean, hell, the belts are still even on there. It was all like behind the alternator and back. You can kind of see where everything was. On this part, it looks completely fine and untouched. Back there, only thing that went behind that further was the windshield. I haven't looked underneath the transmission, but I'm guessing that having all the fire be stuck back there, it was probably damaging to the tranny, or at least the top of it. I haven't looked under the car, been too afraid to, but probably some damage has been done down there. But we can see if we go over here, the pan for coolant is still good. Gosh, this was just one big accident. But as Bob Ross says, happy accident. This was just one big, not so happy accident. I'm in the process of cleaning up, and I found this thing right here, which is the low cap for, if we go all the way back to the car, for the AC line, which, as you can see, kind of completely burned away. How did it get all the way over there? That's gotta be at least 10 feet. I mean, god damn. Oh, and look at that. That's the safety pin for that fire extinguisher, which didn't work, which I started all the way over there and chucked it over there in the Fury. Gosh, that's a good throw. Yep, it is 12 o'clock, March 14th. I am so sorry for not uploading for the past, 4 months? I think it's been 4 months since I last uploaded. I've not wanted to touch this footage. I'm tearing up from just editing this video, and it's just hard. It was just a hard. It's still a hard pill to swallow, but I knew you guys would want an update on what happened to my old, now RX8. And I will upload a video in the coming weeks answering any questions, telling about what's happened to the car in the past 3 months. Thank you guys for sticking with me through this video, and I'm sorry it wasn't a happy ending. Not all things can end happily. But I guess I will leave you guys off to explore. Take a note, this is not how all rotaries will be. Why is this so hard to make? Fuck. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. A really important thing to add before I end this video. I had to make the hard decision to sell the car as it was because I needed the money and I didn't have time to work on it. I'll elaborate that more later in a later video. I just feel like that's important to end on.